Welcome, Dr. Kim Hunter Reed. Many of you know Dr. Reed from her previous time in the state of Louisiana. We wish to welcome you,
Thank you,
Dr. Reed, and would invite you to make an opening statement.
Sure. Good afternoon. Thank you all so much for this opportunity to visit with you today, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Wonderful to see all of you. I would say that I consider myself a proud advocate for opportunity and a relentless champion for students at a time when our students need more champions than ever before. And I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today as a finalist for a very important position here in Louisiana, Commissioner of Higher Education. You know, I'm passionate about this work because I consider it sort of part of my DNA. I've been blessed to be born in a family of educators. When I grew up, my expectations, or their expectations for me, were that I would be a college graduate, a servant leader, and remain in the family business, which I'm happy to do. And I come before you because this is a role that I know. I'm currently serving in a similar job in Colorado as the executive director for the Department of Higher Education in that state. I'm here because this is my home agency here in Louisiana, and a very special one that has helped me to learn and grow in the 2 times that I worked here. And certainly because policy and advocacy work is work that I love to do. My professional journey has afforded me the opportunity to work at the campus level, at the state level, at the national level. I've had the opportunity to work in the federal government, in the U.S. Department of Education, in the Obama administration. And I've had an opportunity to really work with educators, K-12, higher education, community leaders, business leaders, workforce leaders in all of my work. I've worked for or with 4 governors, 3 here in Louisiana, and the current governor in Colorado, John Hickenlooper. And I would say that an effective commissioner is one who sets a strong vision, who collaborates and communicates well, and advances good policy that ensures that opportunity for all is not just a great saying, but a great reality in this state and across this nation. And so when you have a compelling vision, I think it's important that you bring people to the table, stakeholders and others, people perhaps from every corner of the state, different perspectives, different political perspectives, different in race and ethnicity, but united in that belief that in order to expand opportunity, we need to make sure there's better education and training for everyone. So I would say that we have to be committed to this work to ensure that higher education is accessible and affordable. We have to be relentless in making sure that we have more completers and better student outcomes, and we need to focus on innovation now more than ever. So I thank you for the opportunity and look forward to the questions.
Okay, thank you. We had asked the previous candidate a similar set of questions I have, and,
Sure.
and they rather general in nature, Dr. Reed, but obviously the first one I have, think that need to be answered is really what do you believe and why do you believe that you would be ready to, at this point, assume the responsibilities of Commissioner of Higher Education in addition to the career achievements that you've mentioned?
I would say, first of all, I do know the work and I do love the work, and I think that it's important that those two go hand in hand. This is not easy or for the faint of heart, but it does take the kind of commitment and collaboration and relationship building that is steady and moving it forward. So I would say I think I'm uniquely suited because I'm doing a similar job now. I've worked here in Louisiana. I know this state and I love this state. I think that I'm uniquely suited because my life's work reflects my ability to move an agenda forward and to be an effective advocate, an effective leader. And I think that at the end of the day, we have to make sure that individuals who are in leadership understand the weighty responsibility, but are excited and eager about what can move, what can happen, what the vision can be. So an eternal optimist, but a pragmatist also in trying to get the work done. So that's what I would say.
You've seen up close and now are living the role of a SHEO, a state higher education executive. And you know the situation in Louisiana where you have multiple stakeholders, not just your four system presidents who
Right.
you perhaps have the most contact with, but this is the legislature, this is the business community, this is the community as a whole that needs engagement by the Commissioner of Higher Education for the state. What are your initial thoughts about how to engage these groups, how to get them to buy into the visions, the policies, and the implementation of those policies going forward?
I would say that, first of all, it's important to have a strong vision that people believe in and that can rally troops. I think that it's important that you are a good listener and that you seek out all stakeholders, not just traditional stakeholders, when it comes to this kind of conversation. So for me and my work, I meet every month with all of my presidents and my system heads in Colorado. I'm on the phone with presidents every week, but I'm also on the phone every week with K-12, with workforce, with business, sitting at the table having conversations. So I think that people judge you not just by what you say, but by what you do. And so you have to demonstrate that you believe in this work, that you're going to be collaborative, that you're going to be an honest broker, and that you have a vision for the work and you want people to be a part of that, and that they have an opportunity to add to that vision as well.
Do you, well, you mentioned K through 12, and,
Sure.
and you, of course, understand the concerns that we have over how to improve college readiness and workforce readiness in the state of Louisiana. Part of that is dual enrollment.
Yes.
An issue that is always close and near and dear to our hearts. Do you have any thoughts about how to develop and monitor and assess and measure our dual enrollment policies that we have here at the Board of Regents, and how we might improve upon and enhance the outcomes?
So one of the things that I have found about dual enrollment is not only is it important for students to have a college experience in high school because it allows them to save time and money towards their degree, but it helps to erase the belief gap in students. We have almost 42,000 high school students in Colorado. 33% of our high school students are taking concurrent or dual enrollment right now. We put out a report every year to the legislature about it, and our vision is universal access in our state. We do not think that your geography should determine your opportunity. So we did a roundtable conversation with students, many of them first generation, some minority students, to ask about dual enrollment. And so many of them said, college went from a maybe to a must. I didn't think I could do college, and then I did, and the light bulb went on. And so I think that there is a there when it comes to that policy. But we have to be smarter about dual enrollment. We have 2 studies in the field in Colorado, a location study to determine if a student's outcome is better if they finish their course or take their course at the high school versus on the college campus. We also have received a $400,000 federal grant to study the return on investment to the student and to the state as a result of dual and concurrent enrollment. So there is much work to do. We are in the process of doing a strategic planning whiteboarding session with K-12 to try to figure out how do we get to universal access. So yes, I have strong feelings about it. I think it has great promise as a policy. I think we have to get smarter about it. And we have to be aggressive in making sure that students are college and career ready in high school because they have a college and a career experience in high school.
What would you, Dr. Reed, hope to accomplish in your first 90 days if you're appointed? First 90 days, then the first year. What first 90 days obviously are going to have a lot of activity around it. The first year will as well, but do you see setting goals for yourself in that first 90 days and for that first year? And if you do, could you tell us about that?
I'll tell you a little bit about the process. First of all, I think listening and learning is very important. Setting a learning agenda is very important. So the first 90 days, I would want to make sure that I understand the work, the relationships, making sure that I'm making the rounds and visiting with everyone who is important to this work, and there are so many stakeholders, and understanding the agency as it exists now, which is different than it was before. I think we have to have a broad tent, and we have to demonstrate to education and workforce and business leaders and K-12 communities of color, faith-based individuals, that this work is important and that there is a seat at the table for all of them. So I would certainly commit in the first 90 days to make sure I'm listening and learning. In the first year, I think it would be important to have a vision statement, a master plan, an attainment goal, and work that people can rally around that is focused not on just higher education, but the definition of talent development. So when we talk about college, we talk about technical college, 2-year and 4-year, and honor in all pathways. When we talk about talent development, we talk about traditional students, non-traditional, homeless, returning veterans, foster youth, justice involved, because that is the talent that will be necessary to move a state forward. So the vision and the work would be making sure that I'm listening and learning, building a strong and collaborative vision, and advancing good work with this board and with this community.
What specific experience made the biggest impression on you, and how did it help to shape the career you've had so far? There have been many that I think have had an impact. I guess the most recent one would be that I think about my life in relationship to others and my privilege and how I've been able to use it to advocate for others. So I grew up in a home where it was not college is a maybe, but college is a must, and not are you going, but what college are you going to? But a couple of months ago, several months ago, I had an opportunity to be the commencement speaker at Sing Sing Prison. I was there because the individuals that were in charge of commencement had asked me to come because in the Obama administration I had gone to a meeting on prison education with the Ivy League campuses that were doing prison education through private fundraising. And I met students behind bars who were talking about what this education would mean to them if they completed, and what it would mean for their families, how they would have pride in this work. And I asked them, how do we have individuals who believe in their first chance instead of having a second or third chance? And so we had a conversation about their life's journey versus ours. And I was thrilled after I went on into my next job to have the individuals reach out and say, some of your guys are graduating and your conversation had an impact and they have asked for you to be their commencement speaker. And so when you go back and you talk to individuals who have realized their mistakes and are trying to move their lives forward, when they ask you to take a picture or meet their mom, their wife, their daughter, their cousin, it has an impact on your life, and it makes you even more committed to make sure that more people have opportunity. And for so many of our citizens, particularly in states that have high poverty, we have to make sure that more people have access to education, because we know what happens when people do not get out. They drop out of school, sometimes they drop into trouble. And so I have thought about that experience and thought about what it would mean to make sure that everyone had that first opportunity. So that experience certainly has stayed with me. It is my second commencement. I was a commencement speaker here at Angola after Hurricane Katrina. And so I have had an opportunity to speak with our own individuals that are behind bars here as well. But those things shape who you are, and they make you think about what about consequences and opportunities can we gather from that, and how do we make sure more people have life-changing degrees that support them and their families and build communities, and I think that's important work. Thank you. If you would please, and perhaps you don't, this is one of those general questions that are impossible to answer, but do you have a philosophy on how to create an inclusive environment for the Board of Regents, for all the public institutions and the students that it represents?
Sure. So I do think that, you know, when we think about inclusivity, I certainly think about a place where all voices and all people are welcome. We talk about how diversity is one of our greatest assets, and we have to make sure that diversity of people and thoughts is welcome on all of our campuses. So if we believe, as I do, that the assumption is that in this knowledge economy, everyone needs a credential beyond high school. The high school diploma is the floor, not the ceiling. then we have to build systems and structures that allow everyone to have their aspiration and their interest determine the certificate or pathway that they pursue. But that means that we have to have environments and campuses that are welcoming to all. We have to say that free speech is welcome and hate speech is not. We have to make sure that we celebrate diversity and it is reflected in our faculty and our leadership, in all of the work that is occurring, that our students are workforce ready and leadership ready because they have had rich exposure to lots of different people and different ideas. So that is my vision for what we have to do. In Colorado, I will say that we are working to erase equity gaps. We have the second highest gaps in the nation behind California, measured by the white educational attainment of your citizens against your Hispanic population, and we have a fast-growing Hispanic population. So we're committed to this work. We are the first state in the nation to receive a $500,000 Lumina grant to work on equity. We talk about it across the country, and we try to demonstrate what leadership in this area looks like, because it's important today, now more than ever.
How far along are you in the implementation of that thing?
We're very early on. We've been at it about 4 months or so. It's a 3-part process. We are trying to move strong policy, so we're in our legislative session now, trying to make sure we're advancing affordability and access. We have 3 institutions that we've invited to be partners and leaders in the work. We've signed MOUs with them, provided money to them, and they're about the work. And then we've decided that we would like to develop modules for culturally responsive teaching and learning for all of our institutions across the entire state. So that work is under development as well. And then finally, we know that this work will not be sustained. We are in a governor's race in Colorado, so we have equity champions that have been identified from across the state, men and women, business leaders, community leaders, faith-based leaders, that will talk about the importance of erasing gaps and ensuring that we have more opportunity, and they've had their first initial meeting. So it's a full menu of work. It's underway, and it's a 2-year grant with 4 years of runway to have results.
I think at this time we will terminate these public session questions and prepare to go into executive session. We are permitted to do that by the fact that it is a personnel item that we will be discussing. All right, Regents, thank you. We have now returned from executive session. Again, no action was taken or voting held during the executive session. We have had an opportunity to meet with each of the candidates and consider their relevant experience, qualifications, and other attributes. At this point, the board will select the next Commissioner of Higher Education. Is there a motion to nominate a candidate for Commissioner of Higher Education?
Mr. Chairman,
Senator Jewell.
first of all, I would like to say that we have had the opportunity to interview and listen and learn from some very outstanding people. I want to compliment you and the search committee and our professional assistants who brought forward such outstanding people to fill this most important role. I do think that we need to consider the current environment that we're in, challenges that we have to kind of continue to promote higher education, understanding how vital it is to every person in this state and to our economy. It is my belief that Dr. Kim Hunter-Reid can best serve that purpose, serve this board, and serve this state and higher education. And for that reason, I would like to place the name of Dr. Kim Hunter-Reid in nomination for the position of Commissioner of Higher Education.
Thank you, Regent Ewing. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Regent Meyer. The motion requires a roll call vote in accordance with Louisiana Revised Statute 173123.1. 2/3 vote of the full membership is required of the Board of Regents. In other words, we need 11 votes to have a successful appointment. A vote of yes means that you agree with the nomination of Kim Hunter-Reid as the next Commissioner of Higher Education. Carolyn, would you please call for a voice vote?
Yes, sir. Regent Adley.
Yes.
Regent Chabert.
Yes.
Regent Ewing.
Yes.
Regent Henning.
Yes.
Regent Levy.
Yes.
Regent Lipsy.
Yes.
Regent Markle.
Yes.
Regent McDonald.
Yes.
Regent Meyer.
Yes.
Regent Perez.
Yes.
Regent Pryor.
Yes.
Regent Seal.
Yes.
Regent Temple.
Yes.
Regent Williams.
Yes.
Regent Wyatt.
Yes.
And Regent David is absent. We have 15 votes yes.
The vote is unanimous, and thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for that. We have the necessary 2/3 vote. At this time, I would ask for a motion for the chair to have the authority to negotiate the terms with the newly appointed commissioner on behalf of the board. Is there a motion?
And I second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any opposition or discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Motion carries. Thank you very much. We will take a very short recess.
Members of the Board of Regents, this is an honor. I know this is an opportunity at a weighty time, and I want you to know that I will take this responsibility very seriously. You will have my best work every day. I certainly intend to be an honest broker with everyone. I look forward to working with you and the stakeholders, K-12 and higher education, workforce, economic development, this staff that I have worked with before, and everyone who must believe in the value of higher education, the value of education and training to expand opportunity. Because my Colorado team, I'm sure, is watching, I have to thank them because they are amazing and doing phenomenal work. So in the transition, I will certainly be working hard to sustain the momentum in Colorado, finish strong in our legislative session, and do everything I can to ensure a strong transition as I come back home to work with each of you. Thank you. Oh, it's so exciting. It's a wonderful opportunity to come home and serve as the Commissioner of Higher Education in a state that I love and in an agency that I've worked in before. So I am honored and excited to get to work.
Tell us some of the big challenges facing higher education in Louisiana that you want to tackle.
First of all, I think we need to make sure that we have more opportunity for more of our students, whether they're traditional or non-traditional, single parents, returning veterans, foster youth. We need to make sure that there is expanded opportunity for all of our students, that the work is workforce aligned, that we have strong partnerships and a strong vision for our work. So I'm looking forward in the summer to reaching out, learning more, listening, and trying to advance good work.
What would you like people to keep in mind about the importance of higher education in Louisiana?
First of all, I would say that it represents opportunity in our state. You need more people with higher levels of education and training in this changing knowledge economy. And so this is an important role and important endeavor to try to make sure that we have more opportunity in our state.
What are the big issues facing higher education that the new commissioner will be tackling?
Well, of course, the obvious first problem that would be faced by the new commissioner will be the budgetary constraints that the state is facing. There are numerous issues that are in play right now. Of course, TOPS is one of the most important ones. We have other issues of dual enrollment and matters that have been addressed by the legislature, continue to be addressed by the legislature. But we must first right now take steps to create the new vision, to get a new engagement of the citizens in higher education and the knowledge that we cannot go forward as a state without enhancing our educational attainment. So we will discuss with the stakeholders, the legislators, the business communities, K-12, all of the other stakeholders, as well as the communities, the good government groups, what's going to be necessary to take the next and profound steps that are necessary to move Louisiana from the bottom to the top.